Turn up the mics. So we've been here on air and the mics are not working. Are you kidding me? Oh, wow.
We'll
so
adjust.
are they working
Yes,
now?
I think they are on now.
Okay. Oh, wow. So, wow. So when it's nice, we do it twice.
And twice.
It's all good.
This joke, okay, so technology at its best. Millicent.
And human error.
And human error and enthusiasm and all kinds of stuff. So Millicent, I'm sorry, we just missed a whole introduction where you spoke about yourself and you shared
the vision and the mission of Mesh of Mothers.
Thank you. And then you shouted out to a few people.
Yeah.
I am sorry for those
in Radio Land. And I don't,
that.
right? So we'll do that again.
Yeah,
Okay.
why not? Why not?
So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll just pretend it's my first time. Hello, everybody. So my name is Millicent Asiedu. I am a mother of 3 beautiful children, just still in postpartum, I would want to say. I am a social worker. I've been a social worker for, goodness, over maybe 13 years or so. I've worked with children and families for quite some time now. And throughout the process, being a Black mom myself, I saw the need for Black moms, thinking about my first time when I first gave birth and some of the challenges that I faced. During the pandemic, I thought about what other moms were facing. And so that led us to do a needs assessment to determine what were some gaps and supports that moms were needing. And it came back that moms were needing, or Black moms were needing community. They were needing resources. They were needing education and support. And so Mesh of Mothers was a not-for-profit organization that I started back in 2021 during the pandemic to create that safe space for Black moms to be able to share their experiences, to be able to congregate and learn from each other. And it's been a joy to have such a space, knowing that Black moms experience such high disparities during the pregnancy and postpartum period. So to be able to have a space like that, that is culturally sound, culturally aware, and it is a space for you to be yourself, your authentic self, without feeling the shame and the stigma that we often feel in the mainstream supports and systems. So Mesh of Mothers is a growing organization based here in Edmonton, one of its kind, that supports our Black mothers, that focuses on maternal health and well-being. And so we're very proud of this organization. It's our baby. A lot of organizations are supporting this because it's, again, one of its kind here that supports Black moms to be able to live to their fullest, to be able to support themselves. Because we need to create spaces where we're holding moms, moms who are the ones who are often holding others, who are nurturing, who are loving, who are pouring out. We need to create spaces that is holding them and supporting them and carrying them and just loving on them the way that they love on other people.
Oh, wow. Let's drop a horn for that one. Drop a horn for that one. And for people in Radio Land as well that didn't hear the shout outs, because the shout out is very important. So let's do that shout out again.
All right. Okay, so I want to give a big shout out to my husband who's taking care of our 3 babies while I'm here doing work.
Oh, yes.
Doing what I love. So it's really great to have support systems like that. And I'm very privileged to have somebody like that on my side all of the time. Also shouting out our mom community who are just amazing. All the new moms who joined us recently are seasoned moms who are just always there to help support each other. Thank you. I'm giving you guys a big shout out here, and I love you.
Shout out to the moms.
Oh, you know, Millicent, you're being quite modest because you also did not share that you are the owner of Stillness therapy. What is that? And you use the word postpartum. And a lot of people may not understand what that means. And I know when you start talking about stillness therapy, you're going to use post, pre, bro, and all these words.
And peri.
So if you can just clarify to somebody out there who may feel discombobulated by all these big words that may have no meaning for them.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, of course, when we think about the transition to motherhood, there's the, conception and then pregnancy aspect. And then after you give birth, that's usually during the postpartum period and up to the first year. But I always say that once you're a mom, you'll always be postpartum. So you'll always be needing that nurturing, that love, that care, that extra support that you'll always need in your lifetime. So that's what postpartum means. And yeah, thank you so much for that. With Stillness Therapy, it's another baby of mine's that we recently opened. I am the clinical director there. I love what I do. So to be able to do it in a clinical space, it's a blessing to be able to support people one-on-one, to help them transition into different spaces and life, and to hold them in their most vulnerable space. It's just something that it's a blessing.
I like just listening to the way that you articulate your feelings about the work that you do. I feel it when you speak.
Yes,
I can hear the passion in your voice. I can hear the deep sense of commitment, gratitude for what you do. And you know, it's a blessing to have that type of support, that type of individual running organizations within the community. So thank you for everything that you do.
Yeah.
You also mentioned postpartum, and I know that it's something that a lot of people don't speak about enough, right? And the pressures that women go through after giving birth. I know that we went through it ourselves, Latoya and I.
And I'm glad you said we.
Yeah.
Because when postpartum and even prenatal and all of these experiences with the fertility, pregnancy landscape, the focus seems to be postpartum is only associated with women.
Yes.
And there's so many men who are now showing symptoms, coming in with panic attack symptoms that mimic a heart attack after going to the hospital, doing the EKG, the ECG, all of that, and finding out that there's nothing wrong with their hearts. It's actually a panic attack that they were experiencing associated with having children, the worries and fears about after that. So although mom is mom, I want to declare that there can be no mom if we don't take a holistic approach. So we don't want the men out there to also not feel accommodated. So Alric, I'm sorry if I cut you off, but I wanted to make the stance here.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
That is very true. I think when we think about postpartum and even conception, pregnancy, all those works, we forget the men, but they're heavily impacted by it. And they play such a significant role for our birthing individuals. And so we would really want to highlight the work that they do. Because like you said, without them, certainly there will be a lot more distress for us.
Exactly.
You know, I think about some of the studies that I read, and it talks about the fact that if there's any conflict within the relationship, it really
affects that.
Exactly. It really impacts the mother, and it impacts the father, and so forth. So it's a holistic approach when we're looking at, you know, all those different stages in life.
All the variables. So for the folks out there, we're talking today about parenting while reparenting ourselves. And this is a big deal. We were, Millicent, myself, and Alric, we were talking before, all the fun things that you're seeing behind the scenes. And we wanted to declare what the definition of reparenting is. What do we think reparenting is for the folks out there who may be thinking, what, my parents did a great job with me. Like, why do I need to reparent myself? What does that mean?
That's a very good question. I think for me, when I think about reparenting, I think about my own history and life experiences and how I was parented as a baby, as a child, and how that reflects and impacts my current parenting. That's what I think about. How attuned am I to my own needs and my children's needs?
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it possible that we had great parenting? We had high hopes and dreams about what kind of parent we wanted ourselves to be. But a part of the immigrant experience as well is that you move to countries, you have traumatic experiences that make you question yourself, affect your self-esteem in such a way that now you need to reparent yourself to who you used to be in order for you to become the person that you want to be in this present day as a parent. Because I find that when we go through traumatic experiences in this whatever society, when you move in and you've experienced those traumatic experiences. I was talking to somebody yesterday, a lady yesterday, and she moved here, and the confident person she was is not who she is today. So there's a lot of self-doubt, there's a lot of questioning of self, there's a lack of community support, there's not the village. And so can we broaden our definition of reparenting to not just the inner child being healed, but also finding the inner child that was healthy and reclaim that inner child in order to move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's spaces for all of those to
Yes.
exist, to coexist. Because not everyone who has had a traumatic experience even parents from that trauma.
Yes, girl!
Right? So we want to definitely make that very apparent. There's just so many complexities to parenting that it's not just a linear way.
Great.
Yes. I always say, you know, when people decide to become parents, we all hope, we all pray that someone would just come and drop the manual and say, here's the blueprint. Here's the manual. Let's use that and you'll be okay, step by step by step. But the truth is, we all have our own personal manuals and we're writing it as we go. And the same is true for our parents. They weren't given a manual and they were writing it as they went along, right? Now, we also want to be clear that our parents did the best with what they had at the time.
Some of them.
Some of them, okay?
Yeah.
And so we want to unpack it from that experience of, okay, we're now stepping into that role. How do we ensure that, one, we are regulated and grounded enough to parent from a place that we want to pass on certain values to our children, not pass on the trauma, break the generational cycle if there is a history of trauma, and ensure that our children are prepared to take on the mantle from here going forward.
But how do we know what values do we want to pass on to our kids?
That's
when
a very good question.
What is that?
That's a very good question.
I think for me, when we talk about reparenting, we need to
can we
get
pull the mic a bit closer? There we go.
I think, so for me, when I think about reparenting, I think about, let's go back to the basics. How do we become parents in a sense, right? What are some of the things that we go through? So we have to look at the historical aspect of us becoming a mother or a father. What are some of the complexities that we experienced from conception? Did we have infertility issues? How was that on our relationship? How did that impact us mentally, psychologically, socially, all those things? And, you know, you think about wanting to get pregnant, or for some people, it's not by choice. So we have to also acknowledge that. And that also impacts their parenting. So you think about going through the whole aspect of conception and then getting pregnant. We know that that is causing a lot of changing movements within you, right? So we're thinking about physical changes where your body's expanding, and some people, they lose lots of weight, and you know, you think about your brain being rewired to, you know, nurture and protect this child when the child is birthed. And then you think about the emotional aspect as well too, right? Like, there's so much things that we need to really unpack when it comes to the pregnancy, from conception to pregnancy, and how all of that is going to impact you during the postpartum period. Hormonally, you are off the wall. It is so imbalanced, right? Let's be honest. You get upset at things that shouldn't upset you.
Okay.
You know, you get really irritated and just very agitated over things that shouldn't happen, or you're crying all the time. Those are all things that, you know, it happens. And you think about even socially, sometimes we're going on a break.
And we'll come right back to that right after this break. And we're back.
Before we were rudely interrupted.
No worries. Yeah, so I was just highlighting the social aspect of, you know, when you decide or when you're going through the whole pregnancy aspect of it. Sometimes you don't have that village. Sometimes you do, and it's overwhelming for you. Sometimes you lose friends. And sometimes, you know, you gain friends. There's just so many social aspects to it. And you look at, what else can we look at? The physiological change. Some people,
And
you
the
know,
grief.
and the grief.
There's a
your
lot
identity.
of grief. Yeah, the
Exactly.
identity, but also there are a lot of mothers or who enter into parenting and their relationship suffered or the
Yes.
partner doesn't stay. So the
Yes.
grief of what they
Yes.
envisioned
Yes.
motherhood,
Yeah.
parenting to
Yeah.
be, becoming single parents, becoming, you know, becoming a parent who has to work.
Becoming-
There are all
yes,
kinds of
yes.
changes that tends to happen. You
Yes.
lose your job
Yes,
because the
yes.
body goes through a lot of stuff sometimes and it impacts so many
So many
aspects of our lives.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
bringing that into focus.
No worries, because I think when we're talking about parenting, we have to look at how they got to the parenting stage. There's so many complexities that has happened. Now it's impacting how they are responding to their children when the baby's maybe crying or baby's
Yeah.
irritable or colicky. How are they responding to that, right? Is it
Yeah.
because of an experience that they had through the process of trying to conceive and, you know, pregnancy and childbirth? Was it traumatic for them? You know, those are all things that you have to look at. Was it something that, you know, there was some neglect and some system failures? All those
Yeah.
pieces really does impact how you bond with your child, your children in the future, and those pieces. So I wanted to really highlight that there's like that complexity around that. And now we have a parent with a child who's sent home without any manual and, you know,
Yeah.
has to just figure it
Yeah.
out as things go.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make their own path, make their own way. But certainly there's lots of factors that come into play.
So kudos to us as parents
Yes.
Yes.
who have not had manuals, but we have navigated this pathway in such a way that our kids look up to us and they look in our eyes and we're like the world to them. But I know that you spoke about the process, the conception, the pregnancy, the postpartum, and we spoke about that from a female perspective and the grief process as well. But from male perspective as well, can we bring that in? Because
yeah.
I know that our pregnancy, Alric, my pregnancy,
Yeah.
Well, both pregnancies.
both, yeah.
Both pregnancies were difficult pregnancies, and I'm glad you brought that in because typically people don't speak about the male experience of pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
And there are two things for me that stood out during both our pregnancies. The first one is how helpless I felt at times.
Oh,
That's real.
Seeing you go through two difficult pregnancies and trying to support as much as I can, but there are limits to what I can do. I can't take that pain from you. I can't take that discomfort from you. I can't soothe the pain that you're feeling, right? I remember when the doctor said to you, especially in the second pregnancy, that listen, if I don't keep you in the hospital, you're probably not going to make it. You and the child are not going to make it, right? And that was during a period when your mom had passed away.
Oh my.
You had to be taking care of funeral arrangements. And I remember specifically when the funeral director who knew you said, Mrs. Reed, you can't keep doing this. You
Yes.
can't keep doing this.
yes.
And I remember knowing, understanding why you had to be doing what you had to be doing, supporting you through that, but also understanding how helpless I felt to say, hey, you know what? I just want my wife to be okay.
Right.
And I wish I could just give that to her.
But you did though. So, and that is why I like when the male perspective is
Yeah,
in, because you spoke about your husband being at home and supporting you
yeah.
with the kiddos.
Yeah.
I remember I had gestational diabetes during my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, I would never went on meds because my husband prepared all my meals. He ensured everything was okay. When I was on bed rest, he ran. And I remember he lost 35 pounds in 2 months.
Wow.
I've never seen that before. Whatever that magic was, you kind of.
Amazing.
But
Yeah.
I think what happens is the helplessness in men tends to continue after the pregnancy where they feel like there's a fragility and they are unresourceful. So lots of men don't understand how that whole process can create anxiety for them. The other piece that lots of people may not know, so thank you for sharing that, is that I suffered postpartum depression after my second.
Oh, yes.
But your acuity, Alric, to what was happening when I could not get out of bed is what saved me and saved the kids. And so for men out there who may be listening, how Alric showed up with his helplessness during the pregnancy, I don't have to boast. He was the mom. He was the nurturer. I never breastfed, so he was up at nights, bottle feeding, the cold sucking out of all that stuff. He was the one doing that. So the kids are very, very attached to their dads. But what you find is women go through that process. They experience the postpartum depression, and they are also in households with partners, with other halves who will probably not be as active in the rearing process. So it seems very lonely for them, and that is the continuation of the trauma. So if we go back to the original question that is asked, what I'm hearing here in my therapist ear is that reparenting ourselves has to do with the compassion. The compassion to recognize that even though society is going to say one thing or impose certain expectations on us or want to define certain things for us, we know the intimacy of our lives and having the front seat to our own experiences then requires us to exercise that grace, that kindness, that compassion, that nurture. See, I'm pulling it out from you guys.
No, that's exactly it.
And having some, I know this word gets thrown out a lot, Millicent, you know this, and people are like, everything is boundaries. But it's really having boundaries.
It is.
It's having awareness, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think boundaries is something that within, the parenting stage, we want to be very much sensitive to what other people's needs are, but not recognizing that our needs are at the forefront.
Yes.
We're taking care of little ones who needs us at every stage. We are, so for some of them, we are their hands, their feet, we are nurturing them, all, doing all those pieces. And so when we don't have the boundaries, that's when it causes a lot of stressors for us. And a lot of us struggle, especially when you think about like the immigrant family.
I was just about to come to that.
The immigrant, population, we struggle because we want to be respectful as much as we can. But at the same time, we're held to certain standards, cultural standards that we have to uphold. I think about even my own experiences. My parents, so I'll just bring it back. My parents, they moved here and then brought us here when I was about 9 years old. And so they gave us two worlds in a sense, Ghanaian background, and then obviously trying to...
Ashanti crack, try Romantic crack.
Latoya is convinced she's from the Ashanti and
that's why her and I click, okay? That's why we have this relationship now. Yeah, so they gave us, that cultural side as well as, the Western side, trying to merge all of that too for us. And for me, when I think about how they parented, they were amazing parents. I want to say my parents were amazing parents.
Big up to parents. Amazing.
Have a drop one for parents.
But I'm also cognizant of the fact that they didn't know what emotional safety was. They didn't know how to pour out with emotions and that affection and just focus on survival mode.
Yes, as was necessary.
As was necessary, exactly. And they had to parent from that angle of survival and trying to make sure that, they had their papers and our kids were fed and they were clothed and they had a roof over their head. That's how they showed love. And education. You must go to university. If you do not go to university, there's something wrong with you, okay? As my parents would say. So that's what they valued and that's what they instilled in us. And so for me, where now I'm parenting, I cannot be without emotional safety for myself and for my children.
But they're going to say that is making our kids soft. They're saying we're messing up society
What does
with
soft
creating.
mean?
Oh, they're gonna. Oh, girl, let's unpack that.
Let's unpack that. What does it mean to be soft?
Oh, they said that our boys are not masculine.
What does masculinity mean?
Oh yes,
Good question.
baby.
Very, very good question.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because they do the same thing with my husband. My husband is very attuned emotionally. And I find that he gets ripped apart for not presenting a certain way. I'm very talkative, although he's talkative, very talkative at home. But because he doesn't present in public the way that I present in public, it becomes the same thing. Oh, you're soft man. You're this, you're that. And I'm like, okay, so a tough man is supposed to be abusive and...
But see, that's one of the things too, right? It's a double-edged sword. So society is saying that men, this is a stereotype that's put on men.
Yes,
Men are supposed to be tough, rough, strong,
Macho.
brave, macho, hold it in, suck it up, right? But at the same time, society is saying, what are men bringing to the table in terms of the emotional regulation, the emotional safety piece, right? How do men ensure that their children are prepared for and understand that men don't have to hide all of these emotions? Men are allowed to cry, right? So we're hearing that on one side we're too tough, on the other side we need to be able to regulate. But in the middle, we're still getting the same narratives that, hey, when you show up in public, or are you man enough?
Yeah.
But what is man enough?
Yeah. So
Right?
society really is creating no safety for men to really show up authentically. That is the problem, right?
Right.
Because the reality is, studies have shown, multiple studies are showing that continuing like this, where men get no safe space to be able to unpack, to be able to have that communal healing, to have that space that they can talk about what they're holding in, because we find that men don't always talk about emotions, or some men, then it is leading to more domestic violence and abuse. It's leading to a dumping or a coldness in homes, or a cold response, and also an explosive response. The suicide rate in men
Is 3 times,
so high. And so when you think about that, the way in which society is saying save our men is, let's create space for them to be able to talk and to unpack. But how much is society ready for that? Because the stereotypes are still existent here, right?
You know what? One of the things that I want to appreciate is that I think that culture is really changing.
Yes, it is.
There is a movement. There is a movement that's happening right now where a lot of men are waking up to the fact that it is okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be vulnerable enough to people that are safe, to let them understand when you're struggling.
Yes.
I know that because sometimes when I walk into rooms and I share my own story and I hear the feedback from men, sometimes all we need is just one person to be able to talk, to allow others to be able to see that, hey, I'm not the only one that's going through this. And if this person can stand up and speak openly about what they're going through in this safe environment, maybe I can go ahead and share my story as well. So it's a matter of lighting the candle. So that someone else's candle can be lit.
Yeah, I think we're coming up on a break, are we?
Yeah, we're coming up in about a minute.
Okay. I'm glad, because Millicent, Alric, I love where we're going, because I want to bring something in here from a male perspective, from a parenting perspective. Here's the real part of the conversation.
Let's hear it.
There is this belief, discipline versus a fear-based form of response in parenting, where fear was used to get children to conform, and the discipline and the abusive form, a vile form of discipline.
Oh, goodness.
Can we unpack that afterwards? to, are we there?
We're almost upon the break. I'm just saying, this is a loaded one that we're going to come back to. Yes. And we're going to go to make some money right now.
We have 10
yes,
minutes.
we have about 10 minutes to go. And that was a loaded question before the break,
Was
Latoya.
it?
Yes.
Wow.
It was necessary.
Definitely. I'm in my seat and I'm like, that break kind of like just came right at that time. But I'm very happy you asked that question because especially in the immigrant community where we come from backgrounds where corporal punishment was a way of life, right? Especially in our generation. And can you just remind the viewership of that question?
No, I was throwing out the question, and I'm gonna in regards to discipline, where a fear-based discipline is used on our children. So a lot of parents believe that if our children fear us, then we are exercising effective discipline versus gentle parenting. I've tried to use this a whole lot with my parents to get them to recognize that corporal punishment and certain forms of over punishing or over disciplining our children is not the same as really getting our children to be what's the word?
Prepared.
It's fear. It's a fear response.
Okay.
It's not a loving way of parenting. So it doesn't mean that your kids automatically are responding positively to the discipline. To you, they're responding to the discipline because they're afraid. And then when they find that power, their response is going to be very, very different. So it's good for us to share with our parents the short-sightedness of using that form of punishment and how it really isn't effective because people make mistakes. I used to get beaten all the time for doing the same thing all the time. So what I did is I started doing what I did better, not to be beaten because I'm gonna do the same thing. I didn't understand why I shouldn't do it because there was no communication, there was no discourse that was happening, there was no loving kindness. Do you find that happening in your work?
In the work that I do find that, and even in speaking with other people, what has happened to them, it does happen quite often. And I think about the effect of that on the children, because like you said, the parents are doing this from a fear base and it's not long lasting.
Yeah.
So physically disciplining a child will not stop the child from misbehaving because you continuously physically discipline the child and the child will not stop the behavior.
Just do it behind the back. Like hide and do it now.
Yeah.
Right?
So then I think about what is the purpose of doing something over and over and not getting different results from the child. It's harming the child. Studies have shown that physical discipline does not help the child. And so what is the means? Like what are you trying to achieve when you're physically disciplining the child? What is the motive behind it? Is it a power struggle, right? Is it a way for you to gain control? Is it how you were taught? Is that all you know? Is this something that makes you feel that,
You're a good parent.
You're a good parent. And if you don't physically discipline your child, then you're less than, or you're not.
Less than
so
by
much.
what standard?
Exactly. By what standard?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think when it comes to physical disciplining, it's not something that has proven to work. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It does not work.
Yeah.
Straight up. So what else can we do to help support our children who continuously maybe doing things that we may not be happy with? Can we try other alternatives? And that's why I think a lot of times we parent from consistency. We parent from what we know. And it's, yes, I get it. Sometimes it may be scary to try other things because you may not know the results. But think about it. Currently, you're doing this sort of, discipline, and the child is still, misbehaving or whatever that is.
Or the child is still the child's behaviors are still misunderstood.
It's still misunderstood.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. That's it. Because a lot of times, too, children are not. They don't intentionally do these things to make you upset.
Exactly. Thank you.
They don't.
I was in Jamaica recently.
Yeah.
I got in it with a parent. I have to share this story.
Okay.
I was at a nail salon and this kid was there. She's not more than 5. And the mother came in and you could see that the mother was in a bad mood. I was getting my nails done. And the way in which she asked me to move over, I was like, oh, oops, somebody woke up on the wrong side, the opposite side of the bed. But I didn't say anything to her. I just thought it in my mind. And I was there carrying about my business. My daughter was there as well. And I just heard when this lady got upset and she was asking for a belt, but I wasn't sure what the belt was for. So I was like, okay. And then she started telling the little girl that her daughter that came with her that she was going to spank her. So she couldn't find a belt. So she said she was looking for a comb. Girl, she spent about 2 to 3 minutes looking for a comb. It's the biggest ass comb I've ever seen pulled out from anywhere. And the lady goes into the bathroom and gives this child some spanking. My daughter is there now. She's terrified because she's like, what is happening? Because the kid is quite small. Then nobody in the shop is saying anything. So I am not. Oh my God, girl.
And I think about some of our immigrant families, some of the black families, we've normalized that.
Honey,
normalized
it is
that, and it is
very
not
normalized.
Okay. And it is not okay.
And then the person who is the person in the wilderness to say this is unacceptable, they get attacked. I didn't care. Yes. I went in it with her. Yeah. I was like, if you hit her one more time, I'm calling the police. Yeah. This is not okay. Yeah. And she went in and the child gets blamed. But the long and short of the story is, after I got in it with her, I returned. I said, can I talk to your child? Can I figure out what is happening? Because we tend to use an adult mind to judge a child. So I said to her, hey, come here. What happened? Why did you get in trouble? Do you understand why mommy was spanking you? And she was like, no. And I said, what happened? And she said, mommy was saying she's tired. So I went to the bathroom and I tried to help her. And the thing that I was using spilled. That is why she got a beating, because she spilled some chemical in the bathroom that was not supposed to be there.
And because she was trying to be helpful.
And she was trying to be helpful. And I turned and I looked at her mom and I said, evidently you're raising a child who's very empathetic, that she can think about you to help you. And you couldn't see that. You know that I asked the child, I asked the child, I said, you know what? Mommy felt hurt or whatever. Can you apologize to mommy? She apologized. I said, mommy, apologize to your child. She refused. And you know what?
Adult,
Then she's going to tell me, I don't know how rude her child is and what she did this morning. I said, you punished her for this morning already. And what she did last week, I said, you punished her for last week already. But I find, Millicent, that this tends to happen a whole lot. As you spoke about that, what is our motivation? Sometimes it's not necessarily motivation. It's a lack of resources. We don't know. There's nothing better. We're so cultured to do the same thing, and we're creatures of nature. So like for me, I have no shame. I used to beat my child, and then when I said, what's the sense? I remember Alric would be so upset. There's no reason for a kid to be spanked, but because we were in a Jamaican context, and I said, no. Nope, it's not good. It's not enough.
And you came to that realization after, thinking about, the end result and the process of it. It causes a lot more harm than good.
And isn't then that the basis for reparenting? Like really going back to the base of where our experience of what parenting looked like for us as children, and being able to go back to the parts of us as children that succeeded, that was well, to the whole parts of ourselves as children, and healing from that space, moving forward, and helping us to be able to center and ground ourselves, understanding that, listen, this is how I want to show up for my children. And so I will reparent myself in that sense, not from the point of trauma, but from the point of being whole,
wanting
better for our children, and being intentional enough to do that work.
I love the word
so that we show up differently for our children.
Yeah.
You know,
No, that's
there are certain hallmarks that we use in trauma healing, and one of the first one is awareness. Right? So once we've become aware that what we're doing, even if it's an inkling of feeling in our bodies, because awareness isn't always cognitive, right? Just as how trauma inflicted on us isn't always cognitive. It's not in the mind, because many of us will
very
say
somatic.
there's
Yes,
nothing
very
wrong with me. My parents never did anything wrong with me. But then you see them show up in certain ways and they reenact certain things, and you're like, oh yeah, something definitely went wrong, just because of how they are showing up. So Millicent, we are so grateful
We have to have you
for
back.
this conversation. It's not enough.
It's not
When
enough.
you're coming back.
I need to come back soon. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah, see, let's unpack that for sure. Well, Millicent, talk to us about just quick wrapping up. Our
Yep.
time is done. But where can people find you? Where is Mesh of Mothers? How can they register? Are there any events coming up that we need to tell people about?
Okay. So with Mesh of Mothers, find us on Instagram at Mesh of Mothers Foundation. Check us out on our website, www.meshofmothers.ca. We do have an event coming up, but follow us on Instagram and you'll find out more.
Okay.
And to that we say thank you. Thank you. This morning was an amazing conversation, as usual. Thank you so much for sharing the mic with us this morning, Millicent. Thank you, Latoya, for bringing in your insights as usual. And I want to thank you all out there in Radio Land and on
Yes.
Facebook for tuning in. And so coming up next, we will have Miss Laura, who is already here with the Latin Hour on Friday. Special K and G return with the next 48. On Saturday morning, the weekend morning show with Danny and G. And of course, next week, Latoya and I will return to unpack a few more things with Let's Unpack That. And so to take us out, here's Michael Jackson with Heal the World.
Aw, what a
Beautiful.
cute song.
Beautiful.